Hi friends, this is Tracy from the Financial Freedom Diary, and today I'm going to be setting up my budget planner, which is an Erin Condren Deluxe monthly planner for the month of September. I have been wanting to complete a budget, not a budget with me, but a plan with me for the longest, and I've had a hard time like juggling my schedule to make time to do this, and plus I needed to understand how I wanted the layout to actually work for me. I didn't have a really good vision because this planner is a little bit different. And all planners are different, and it takes some time for you to get to actually know them and how they can work best for you, because a planner is just as individual as your budget. It's all personal, and you can always mature and grow and change it as it fits your needs. So this very first page is going to be the page that tracks my sinking funds. And on it, I'm going to keep track of my beginning balance, any deposits that I make, any withdrawals, and then the ending balance. Underneath this section, I'm going to make a debt tracker, and that is going to be able to show you guys what my beginning balance was for my debt, and also my total payments and my ending balance. Now, this section I used to just keep in a little notebook that I have. I picked up from Family Dollar, I think, a while ago, like maybe 2 years ago. And so I always knew what my numbers were because I write it in this little notebook, but I'm about out of pages. And I thought, well, why buy a new notebook when I can just toss it in here? I almost said chunk it in here, but I'm like, yeah, that would have been a little bit country, but anywho. And so that's what this bottom section is. I'm thinking about adding a third section to this page to be a sinking funds transaction log. And that'll track any of the withdrawals from the sinking funds and what those purchases were for. Because I like to go back and revisit historical budgets and see what I was doing at the time. And so I like to have as much information in front of me as possible. And so that's why I'm considering putting that on there. But I haven't made up my mind yet. But I think I'm going to be doing that because I know this month I have to take some money out of my clothing fund. I need to buy a new pair of shoes for merchandising, and they're going to cost me about $70. And I got to pay my quarterly tax estimates. And that's I got to make a deposit and then withdraw that amount too. And I need to go to the dentist. And I know I need to get my teeth cleaned and some other stuff. So that's going to be 3 that might possibly come out of here. It just depends on how high my dental bill is, if I actually have to touch this, or if my FSA has enough and I can cover it from there. So this little dashboard thing I'm actually going to use for my weekly goals. On this sheet, I am tracking my maximum spend for 4 categories, and that's groceries, household, restaurants, and personal. And for anyone who has not seen my Budget With Me videos, I used to, out of my cash envelopes, I used to like eat up everything for my restaurant money in the first week. Then I would go and get money for my personal money and then go to restaurants with that. Then I would move on to the groceries, and then something would come up and I would need something that that was just for me, and I would take that out of the household. So I was just like robbing Peter to pay Paul, and a lot of it was just how I was managing my stress at work, and I was not preparing my lunch or doing the things that I needed to be doing. And I just rationalized the whole thing. And I was just telling myself, where if you're not charging anything, then it's okay, because it was never hitting my checking account. It was actually just how I was mismanaging the cash envelopes. And so having these maximum spends kind of gamifies this for me. And so I'm always trying to come in under. And for some reason, I actually like doing that. And that's just something I did to actually manage myself. And so that's all I'm doing on this page is I'm setting up the weeks, what the categories are. Then I'll come back for that week and put what the maximum spend should be. And the last thing that I will come back and do on that sheet is I'm going to add some stickers to put some flowers on here. But before I do that, I went over to the paycheck to paycheck pages. And this is where my paycheck to paycheck zero-based budgets are going to go. And this is where I spend every paycheck down to zero. And that does not mean that I don't have any money in my checking account. It just means that every nickel, every dime, every penny has a job. And it might be that its job is to just sit in my checking account to make sure I don't cause any overdrafts because I didn't plan properly. And so I'm keeping that one very basic. And I'm coming back to the dashboard. As y'all can see, I am fumbling with this thin washi. But I started messing with this enough that I kind of got it down packed. I don't need the birthdays for this month because I don't have any birthdays. And so I'm going to repurpose that box to be the place where I put like my motivational sticker. And the box that I'm working in over there, that's going to be where my budget review is. And the upper right corner is where my monthly goals are going to go. And that's to pay $2,600 to debt, to save $40 from my cash envelopes, to complete 20 no spend days, and to list 4 items or Macari. In the month of August, I listed one thing and I actually sold it. And so now I got to list some other things. And I got to say goodbye to a cute little dress that I'm seeing this pattern is back in style, but I can't get in this dress and I'm not trying to. But I'm going to list it and give it a new home. Now, so I don't know if you remember with the weekly goals, they actually support those monthly goals. As I try to, come in under that amount that I give myself, it allows me to save up that $40 or $40 or more. And then I deposit that for the next month to help me try to hit whatever my amount that I want to send to that. This bottom section is what is going to be my no spend tracker. And so I just wrote down the weeks, the days of the week. And a week for me is from Sunday through Saturday. There's 5 Sundays in the month of September. And I'm going to highlight the day that I don't actually spend any money and then just try to get to 20. And I like doing this kind of stuff. It kind of gamifies this whole thing for me. So it's not as boring as some people tend to think that it is. It's actually, for me, it actually gets to be fun to be able to have, I can spend what I want to and to be able to have some self-control when I walk into a store. I didn't used to have any. So now I'm just adding some flowers to kind of give it a little bit of color because I was using a little bit too much black and white and some brown. And these flowers actually came from the Squad Goals sticker book from Happy Planner. And so this next page is going to be my cash envelope weekly summary. And the page across from it is going to be my cash envelope transaction log. This is where I track the spending out of my cash envelopes. And this is where, I've gotten a lot better. I got this idea from a YouTuber. Her name is JB. And I saw her doing this and I'm like, I need to do that to kind of catch myself because I'm really good at rationalizing to myself my bad behavior. And I'll nickel and dime myself to death. Well, actually, I nickel and dime myself into debt, but I will do that to myself because since I don't have like a spouse or anybody who's actually checking some of the things that I do, I can just do to me afterwards, it's the dumbest thing, but it actually cost me a lot. And so I'm only going to do just this very first one on camera, but that's all it's going to be. And then it's just going to have like, what was my starting balance? What did I spend? What was the ending balance? And that's all. And I just track that. And I actually do weekly check-ins. And I have those videos up for you guys. And this page is just going to track all my expenditures through my cash envelopes. So now we're to the monthly view. I love this view because I have worked really hard over the past couple of years to reduce the number of items that actually sit on this calendar. Um, Here I'm just using my washi to highlight the header, and I'm removing that little line that's across the dates by putting thin washi on top of it and using a black and white stripe washi instead. I like that better. And on here, I'm going to be using the dots that came from the 100 sheet sticker book that was at Joann's. And I'm also going to be using my colorful boxes from Happy Planner. And on here, I'll have two colors as far as my dots to kind of complement the flowers that I'm using. And it's going to be orange and pink. All of the pink dots stand for monthly bills. And all of the orange dots stands for like debt, something that I owe that is not month to month. My quarterly taxes, I was kind of confused on which color to use, but I'm like, if the IRS came after me, they would be a debt, so I put them in orange. But my monthly bills are going to be pink and my debts are going to be orange. And so the first thing I'm doing is putting down these dots. Having a visual like this helps so much when you're creating your budget. You can actually write in when everything is actually due on the calendar. And if you know when you get paid, you can actually say, okay, this particular check that for me is the last day of the month is going to cover everything through the 14th. It can't cover anything before it. It's everything that comes after it. And the only reason why I say that is because I actually used to think that was possible. And I don't today. I think back and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever thought. But I was working with my son and his budget, and he was actually doing the same thing. So I'm like, maybe it wasn't as dumb as what I thought it was, but that's actually how I used to think. But when I laid this out and I did the allocated spending plan and I was overspending and I couldn't, I was getting frustrated, this kind of put a visual to what the allocated spending plan was actually showing me, and that I had too many bills hitting one check versus the other check. And so I ended up learning how to pay my monthly minimums, get the date moved by working with the creditor. And then I was able to, feel some relief in between the two of them and not overextend myself and be all anxious about everything. So all I'm doing is putting the bill and the amount of that particular bill there, and I'm counting and checking it against, because I have the monthly bills dashboard from Erin Condren, and I'm just double checking, making sure I have everything on here. The one thing I didn't lay down was show you guys like my paydays. I get paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. So for the month of September, my first paycheck is actually going to be the one I got on August 31st. And thank you guys for watching. You have a super fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. Bye.